We know what this is. This is episode Chris Hamburger of the Wayne's World and Kelly podcast with special guest David Anthony Ward. I love how you do three names. I do three names because my first name is, anyway. But do you know why it's Chris Hamburger Day today? For us? He was number 55 for the Washington Redskins. And with the first professional football player I ever met in my entire life. Super nice guy. He was looking at houses in our neighborhood when I was a kid. Do y'all even know who Chris Hamburger is? Never heard his name, have you?
I do.
Okay.
I guarantee you David doesn't.
He was a great football player and a great guy. I think he's still alive. So he's a great guy.
It sounds like a made-up last name.
Chris Hamburger. We're like, well, sir, it'd be really neat if you worked at McDonald's. This guy's a professional football player. So let's get started. Lily over in Romania, good morning. I promised one of our guests from out of the country that I'd say hi. And before we all get started, I want to say Daniel over at LGC, happy birthday, brother. We're proud of you. You're doing a great job. You're killing it. And congratulations on your engagement. Am I allowed to announce that? I just did. So, David, tell us in the next, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours, a little bit about yourself.
5 or 6 hours. Okay. What did I sign up for? About me, I mean, Kelly and Wayne, what do you want to know? I mean,
you're from Boston, right?
I don't put the audience to sleep here.
You're from Boston?
You won't.
Originally from the Boston area. Some people have heard of a town called Andover, Phillips Andover Academy. It's kind of a famous private school. A lot of presidents have gone. I grew up in Wilmington, which is right next door. And back when they used to use libraries, do you remember those?
Oh yeah.
For high school projects, I would go to the Andover Public Library because the Wilmington Public Library wasn't that strong. Andover was kind of still is probably the money town. And so their library was like top shelf, and that's where I would go for projects. Now they have something called Google. And so.
Have you learned anything about Google lately? Any information you pulled off there?
Yeah, all the time. I learned the other day the definition of pontificate. Thanks to our senior vice president, Doug Weinstein. He says that I tend to pontificate, and I'm trying to avoid that. I had to look it up. I didn't know.
I would take that as a compliment.
Without Googling, do you know what pontificate means?
Dude, I'm 60 years old. Of course I do.
Okay. Well, who wants to go first?
To think, deeply think.
And to share.
Kelly?
To share at length information about a particular subject.
To ruminate.
Ironically, as I share the definition of pontificate, I will be in the act of pontificating.
I think I just said.
Pontificate means to share or give an opinion, often of like an arrogant or like kind of like condescending tone. Yeah.
Wow, I know. Wow, that must be like the new definition.
Well,
that's a little harsh. Well,
Google.
Things are changing. Yeah. Because to pontificate on something means to elaborate or to tell in detail some information. But I never know it as a negative.
I sit next to Doug. We have a great relationship. So shout out to Doug Weinstein.
Shout out. I'm a little upset that he would.
I think he also can pontificate. Yeah, that's all.
I think I'm a little upset that he's saying you're arrogant, because I think you're one of the finest young men I know in South Florida.
Thank you. No, just to be clear, it doesn't mean the person is. Just, sometimes if you get into these, structural integrity laws and things like that, it gets a little pontification.
It almost sounds like mansplaining.
Yes.
So,
something like that.
So more importantly, have you ever been to Wahlburgers?
I have not. I've seen some of the reality show, I guess.
Right.
I'm a big fan of Mark Wahlberg, a big fan of his brother, because my sister growing up used to have her whole wall like posted with New Kids on the Block.
Right.
Hanging tough.
That was kind of her thing. So
I don't know
yeah,
any
like
songs.
there's always been like that Boston kind of affinity for the Wahlbergs, but I've never been to the burger joint, but I hear it's actually pretty good, pretty popular.
About 6 years ago, I had a meeting with the Cardinal of Boston. And the night before, I went and had dinner at Wahlburgers. And it was the one right across from Alma, his mother's restaurant that they built for her on the water. And
Oh,
then
nice.
you go across the little street and there's their place. And I'm telling you, I'm a burger connoisseur. It's one of the best burgers I've ever had. You're missing out, Boston boy. You got to try it. It really is
That good.
It's a great burger. I mean, Five Guys is kind of like more of a greasy, thick burger.
I'm a fan of Five Guys.
Yeah, they're from Northern Virginia, where I'm from, but Wahlburgers, they make a great burger, and you don't feel as heavy. A smaller order of fries, which is better for America.
I feel like the quality of fries is a very important factor in rating a burger.
It is. You got to have fries with your burger. If you really want to go for it, have a shake. But
No.
So a whole lot of calories.
So how long ago did you move down to Florida?
Gosh, this.
Do you have to Google this, or do you know?
That's a really good question. Let me pontificate. This September will be 17 years, which is
wow.
So
wow.
we're going backwards. I took a one-way flight back, returning from Spain, from Madrid to Miami, 17 years ago. And I was over in Spain finishing up my master's degree. And then once I finished that in May, I took that whole summer off trying to get a job with McKinsey. Actually, I interviewed with McKinsey in Belgium, which was a chance to get like European Union like workers permits. I was jazzed out of my mind, super excited that I could just live and work out there, and bomb the interview. I was like so nervous. And so after that fell through in Belgium, I just stayed in shape the whole summer. I literally ran the hills of Pamplona, listening to like just like some music in my I think it was an iPod at the time back then.
Yeah,
2000. They don't have those anymore. 2006, and then yeah, after I kind of realized I was coming back to the States and that didn't work out, then I went straight to Miami to keep the Spanish going. So that's how it worked.
Very cool. Very cool. That's Wayne has been to Detroit. He spent some time there, so it's almost the same.
Right.
I mean, Detroit's got some great cars, I hear, and they got a great football team. There's a high expectations this year. So that's Detroit. Shout out to Detroit. Shout out to Michigan State. You know?
Really? Wow. Michigan State. You know who else is a big fan of Michigan State?
Who's that?
Anybody? Derek Holland. Huge fan. From Ohio.
Okay.
Michigan State fan. Go figure. So, you know Derek?
I'm an Eric. I don't, but I'm an Eric Thomas fan, so he kind of got me on the Michigan State train. So
I'm struggling
so
here today.
Not the whole Magic Johnson train, but
don't worry, Kelly. I'll pick you up because yeah, you are struggling. So, David, let's go right to some questions that I've had especially after looking at your LinkedIn profile, and you graciously accepted my invite. Thank you. One of the big topics around the country, and it has been for my, I guess, entire 22-year career in this industry, is I'm going to ask you point blank: is this business model that we're involved in, from the business partner side, like Kelly and I are on, to your side, to the boards, things seem to be broken. The lack of civility, the big dust up at Pembroke Pines that we all read about regarding a lot of people trying to get in to figure out how they're going to pay for the insurance rate hikes. I mean, I could go on and on from like the turn and burn style that a lot of management companies have to unrealistic board expectations that they place on the cams. Your job is hard enough the way it is. Shit rolls downhill, you're at the bottom. Is this thing broken? And if not, what can we all do to get this thing on track? Because I've never seen it this bad. A lot to unpack there, brother.
Yeah, I mean, you're touching on a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if broken's the right word, but I understand what you're kind of trying to say. It's a challenging environment right now. I mean,
God, dude, right?
that's a fact. And there's a lot of reasons that bake into the challenging environment. So there's a lot of liability on boards now. There's a lot of stress and difficult spots, I say, difficult situations where a board might or a resident might put a manager in a difficult spot, difficult position. So they're stressed. They may have a family, they may not. So that's like kind of their own, everyone has that, but their own personal stress. So when you have real high stakes in your career, and then you might have your own personal stress, and then a board, is feeling liable or at risk for, budget heat or increases or pressure and complaints. It's stressful kind of all around. And then the contractors, of course, to your perspective, might be feeling it. uh it's not easy right now. It's not easy right now. So I don't know if you're saying what can we do to like fix it.
Yeah, I mean, you have a PCAM, you have a ton of experience. You're certainly well versed and educated in this field, no doubt about it. You're on the front lines of business development for your company. I'll just start with this. What's the difference with your company versus a lot of companies? Because we all have different things that we bring to the table, right? So somebody goes to your company and you're pitching the board for the contract. Tell us a little bit about what your differences are between everyone else.
That's a great question. I think it will tie to what you're asking about. Even in challenging environment, it's going to help a little bit, or if not a lot, if you have like strength in your personal relationships and like kind of closer business relationships. That could be with your management company, and that could also be with your contractors. That could be with your board. I've seen people run into trouble when things get lost, and there's distance, and you're just kind of in the mix, and
Yep.
it's not that personal. So, and that can happen with all those relationships I just mentioned. So I think where ACAM certainly shines and where we do differentiate is where I can actually speak from personal experience. I've worked for many different management companies. You can look me up on LinkedIn and find out exactly where. But I'll just say in my career, I've either been highly, highly valued and like not allowed to be moved because I was maintaining a really quality client and the client didn't want me moved, or I was kind of just lost, like maybe on a radar, but didn't really feel like I was on a radar. And I joined ACAM in November, and like right away, it felt very personal. So I've been working with our vice president of business development, Maureen, right away. Just felt like there was a personal relationship. We did, I think, an excellent team job overall, all the way up to Kat Flores, executive vice president, on a particular account that was in a large transition. And then out of even more personal relationships in open discussion with just face-to-face time, I kind of find a great spot now as director of business development. So when I am speaking to prospects, or, when they're asking, why are you different than anybody else? We're very personal. We're agile. Like, we have strength in New York because, for those that know New York City or Manhattan, we're kind of, I don't like to say it like Anchorman, but we're kind of a big deal. Like,
Nice.
we have real presence up in New York. One, if not the top, one of the top two for sure in terms of doors, like amount of doors that we manage. But in South Florida, we kind of have that sweet spot where we're smaller and we're organically grown, and it's very personal touch because you're not going to get lost down here in South Florida. You're going to have full access all the way up to me, Maureen, even if it's, months after the transition. I mean, the relationship is a personal relationship, will be, like a second or third set of ears. And then we'll know how to help you in our corporate office. We're all next to each other. We're all help each other at weekly meetings. We have a great executive management team, vice presidents, on-site regional directors. You're not going to get lost. Right away, we don't take every account. So right away, when we do have a win-win relationship and you want to take on ACAM and we're excited to take you on, like you're right away, like a top account for us, just right away. And our competition cannot say that with any real like authenticity. They can try to shape it and say, oh, but our executives are great. And maybe they are, but like, they might be bigger, or it's just not going to be as personal. It's just not.
So my producer just said in my ear that we have to disclose that Wayne's World Kelly don't endorse or discriminate against any property management company in Florida. And we welcome all to the table. This
listen, I like the question because, a lot of value of what we do, whether it be executives or on-site GMs like CAMs, our job is to give the board quality options. And that could be for an AC vendor, that could be for a cleaning company, that could be for an owner rep, that could be for management company in theory. So, we do really believe we're a very quality option. If our differentiator on hospitality focus, which is where we're really strong, especially from our director of premier hospitality up in New York, Hendrik. We also have Christopher Christie, who I think might be restarting, but used to teach he was a professor at FIU in hospitality. So if those things plus like a very personal relationship resonate to you compared to some other things that might be attractive in terms of size or scale or resources, then we feel good about our being a quality option.
Yeah, Christopher Christie, great person. Maureen, I mean, you really do have a great team. Without us endorsing anybody, you really get some really great people. What's really neat about you is you've done property management, and now you bring in new business for ACAM. You've walked the walk, you've talked the talk, and you're also very involved with a lot of things going on with the business. You're just not out there doing your 9 to 5 and heading home. You're very involved with what's going on in the industry, which is why we wanted you on the show. That I just think you're a great guy. But it makes a difference that you do, since the day I met you, you really live and breathe this business. It's not just a job to you.
No, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of unexpected. I got into the business via my father, who was on the client side. He was a board president of a beautiful property in Las Olas in Fort Lauderdale. And he just got a personal relationship with his management company at the time. And, they brought me into it, and I kind of thought it would be good for a career. And of course, like my background fit, but then as I got into it and then ended up on, kind of higher levels and started competing, like in terms of delivering value at a higher level, I was like, wow, this is interesting, and I enjoyed it more than I expected. And so then it just kind of snowballed, where some of the managers where I had a healthy competition to on Fisher Island, and they were getting all kinds of licenses, and I was like, what's that about? And I was like, well, I think I'm a strong manager, I better get that. And then I started getting involved with CAI, which I think is a great organization, nationally, globally. And so, yeah, I've just enjoyed it. I enjoy the education side. I enjoy helping people beyond like where I work. And so, yeah, it's just, I think it's a multifaceted, dynamic industry. And so I just learned that I enjoyed it more than I expected.
I'll tell you one thing that you said in your answer to me, David, that I really liked is, on the business partner side and on like the clients that Kelly and I engage with, which would be like your company, is we all need to keep in mind that we're also interviewing you. And what I mean by that is like, when you're interviewing the board, you need to find out if there's a match. Okay, so we're all putting each other on the same plane here. Okay, we're going to ask you questions, board, and depending on how you answer them, there may or may not be a fit. And from what you have said regarding the concierge level of service that you provide, that's going to come with a price, and it should come with a price. Nobody works for free. But I like, and I think one of the answers that we can have in the industry regarding how we end up dealing with boards is, let's have that conversation, because Kelly and I talk incessantly about some of the best things that have come in our lives are the ones that we didn't take because we asked the questions. And if there's not a fit in the beginning, there's probably not going to be a fit anywhere in the cycle that we would get involved in. I think we've all learned that the hard way.
No, for sure. I mean, fit is very important. I'm learning that even more as I progress in my new position for business development. But it certainly is true for general manager. I mean, it resonates. I mean, I think any regional director or vice president or even board, but definitely regional director listening, like, it's the number one thing that they care about is trying to find the right fit of a general manager at a property.
Okay.
Because every property kind of has its own style and feel and like culture to it. And so there's a lot of talented GMs out there, but there's certainly different styles to them or different experience levels. And they're going to have certain natural strengths. So that could work as well for a client, because you guys probably see all the time, board of directors often get elected because they're successful and they bring their own personal experience of skill set. And like personality types, which often tend to be like kind of alpha or,
Yep.
but not always. They might
Right.
be like, it's refreshing to hear. Oh, well, you know what? We believe that the managing company should be the management company. And we're here to have like larger final decisions. Other than that, you should be running the building. And we're like, that sounds amazing, but
That's a fit.
Kind of think that way.
Right.
Right. But not all of them think that way. And at the end of the day, if they went to Harvard Law, which was one of like my board members, or if they founded like a true multi-conglomerate, like vitamin company, like it's actually, then I actually switch and I'm like, whether it be on-site manager or, kind of executive team, like, why don't we listen to this person in their area? You know what I mean? Like that's some serious expertise, like they've built stores from 1 to 2 to 300 and sold the company, and they know about HVAC or they know about hiring a little bit. You know what I mean? Or,
yeah. We have a board member.
And they know about law, like they, like in that area, I'm going to defer, and so it depends. Like you have to have that feel. I think within the board, they have to have that feel of fit and like where their strengths are. The best boards I've seen really have that feel. Like, okay, this is, I'll just say Mike's area. Oh, that's the law area. He's going to dive into that. Okay, now we're talking finance and budget. This is my thing. I used to be, with one of the big four, so fit is huge. And so I'm learning it more on the contract side, as far as business partner, but I think it works for a lot of different areas in business.
We have a board member that built nuclear power plants. And it's like,
wow.
And it was interesting. So James LeGrec and I, several months ago, we were meeting with the clients, and one of them, and I said, I always ask, what do you do in your regular life? And the guy tells me, but he was just going after James really hard. And that doesn't happen too often. Usually it's more of a pleasant experience. He's being real nice to me, but he's really going hard at James. And then at the end, he goes, hey, James, I just want to apologize. I just want to make sure you were as good as I thought you were. And he goes, you are. And they hired us. But, it's pretty cool to have a guy that has that extensive experience. A project we didn't get a few years ago, this guy built, I can't remember, it was like a $12 billion project in South America. I mean, this guy was probably in his late 70s. Unfortunately, they didn't choose us, and I don't know why, because I thought everything went really well. Sometimes you get a little hurt. That's one they kind of upset about. But James he's like, man, I almost want to work this for free just so I can learn from this guy. I mean, this guy was just a giant
That's how
in
I
the
felt
industry.
That's how I felt at Fisher Island. Exactly. I was there for 4.5 years, and I was like, "You're paying me?
Yeah.
Like, this is a good deal." Learning from like a version of Michael Jordan in business. You know what I
Right.
mean? Yeah. I mean, you were saying earlier, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. It's just like someone. Oh, that's what we were talking about. Um, that I've seen that a lot where, and if there's any cams listening, like don't take it personal when someone's grilling you like that has their own success in the past. It's a test of competency. That's
Right.
all, like, and you took the words out of my mouth. And so that's how successful business people operate. They need competency, and they don't believe in words. They believe in verification, you know?
Sure.
So they're going to ask you certain questions or put you in certain situations to make sure they have some sort of level of certainty of what they're paying for is a competent delivery. You know?
And it's turning out to be a wonderful project so far. So, but it was definitely, it was taking me aback to watch this guy go after him. I'm like, man, this is, but you know, I like the way you described it. Yeah, he's checking him out to make sure he's the real deal. And
yeah, it's just a test of competency. It's nothing personal at all, you know. And so once I got to that level, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You know, they're paying a lot, you know, or even if not, they just have that habit, you
right.
know. Just it's like they can't, you know, they can't have that habit.
And I think you bring a real strong value of knowing the business as you develop it. I mean, it's you know, I'm a business development sales guy. You know, I'm not an owner's rep. I always tell my clients that everybody in our company can do amazing things for you except for me. And I think that's another way to do it. And I understand what we're doing. I know our business inside and out. I just can't perform the task on actually, you know, handling construction. But I don't know if Wayne can build a roof. I'm gonna guess he can't.
No,
I
no, I
built
can't.
roofs
I'm
before.
just like you, bro. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well then why don't you come over and take my place, hotshot?
No,
For a
it's
week, I took a church group. We had like 300 kids, and I had a team of like 27. And my partner was a construction guru in DC. I was just there to rally the kids and make sure no one falls off. And then I carried a lot of the stuff up. We did this big, massive roof for charity. I was calling about like 10 years ago or something. Took my daughter. It was a great experience for dad and daughter bonding, but I built a roof at least. You know, that's probably something that Wayne can't say.
You're right, I can't. I can say a lot, but I can't say that.
Oh my God. And we're already past time. So you're heading over to the CAI Expo, correct?
yes. I'm gonna say hello over there. My trusted partner, who's been with ACAM for almost 3 years, does a phenomenal job with expos and getting out there with the clients and our prospects and marketing and in person. So we're gonna go out there. She's probably already up there. I'm gonna head up there and just say hello. And then yeah, there's a whole lot of cool events coming up. Like we're starting to get into like expo season.
Right.
So we got Condo Connect coming up.
L&L's got 3 of them coming
And
up in South Florida in September.
correct. Right. So
September,
we got the
October.
Broward, Palm
Yeah.
Beach. Yeah. And maybe Miami Beach. I'm not sure.
Right. Miami Beach
So
is
yeah,
coming
we'll
up.
be busy. We'll be busy, but we're looking forward to it. And yeah, I mean, to what you're saying earlier about business development or, you know, having the on-site experience. I mean, that was the concept. We think it's going to be, you know, a nice combination, but there's just so much to learn on just how to develop business, how to get new relationships, how to listen. I mean, that's like number 1, 2, and 3. People don't do it. I still like to share my opinion, so I'm trying to change that.
You like to
percentage
pontificate.
Yeah, I do. I didn't know what that meant a week ago, but yeah, apparently I do. So
I love it.
yeah, but it's usually kind of one or the other. You're a salesperson or you've done on site. So yeah, I'm excited. I've been excited for a while now to really connect to a board where I actually understand some tangible experience of what they're talking about, what their challenges are. So,
well, you're a big asset
Well, I'm
to
looking
the
forward to
industry.
meeting you.
Oh,
Yeah,
go ahead.
definitely.
Just go ahead. I'll just.
No, I was just saying I'm looking forward to meeting you on the front lines someday, David, and appreciate you coming on and sharing everything, my brother.
No, thank you. Thank you both for having me. I've been watching Kelly for a while and talking to Kelly, of course, but watching Kelly online for a while with LinkedIn. And, he's pretty good with the social media that the kids call it these days, with the socials. The king of selfies.
Me and the kids.
Yeah, the king of selfies. Are you still doing the bit where you ask people if they've heard of the Kelly podcast and Wayne or something like that? You had you're going there
That
for
was
a while.
funny.
Yeah.
I did that.
You were waiting for reactions of people, like if they knew you, or I forget.
It was pretty funny.
It was like,
I need to throw some of those out. I need to put the montage together because that was pretty funny.
yeah.
Oh, I love it.
No, I've been watching you guys as a podcast for a while. But yeah, thanks for having me on. We'll definitely see each other in person, Wayne. But yeah,
awesome.
Unfortunately, I'll be bumping into Kelly over the next couple of weeks. Probably, hopefully not on the golf course, because I know he would destroy me, absolutely destroy me.
Oh boy, what a myth that is. But I appreciate it. All right, guys.
I'm just happy to have my minimum, my $380 min set from Amazon. That's where I'm at on golf. So.
I think that's what I paid for my pitching wedge. But
oh boy,
that's what I figured.
I'm trying to buy a good game. But everybody have a great week. Hey, and once again, I'm glad you're in the industry down in South Florida. You definitely are somebody that are just, you make everybody happy when they see you, and you deliver and you care about it. And we just need more people like you. So we appreciate you being on the show. And hey, Don Miller. Dawn, we forgot to mention you for the last couple of weeks. We apologize. Have a good one, everybody.
Thanks, guys.